So let's talk about power prices and cost of living. As you know, Reserve Bank yesterday decided to increase for the 8th time, 7 times under this government, but apparently no one blames them. Interest rates have gone up. Cost of living is at a generation high. 77% of people say it's their biggest concern right now, but again, no one blames the government. Power prices, we know, are about to go up by the best part of 56%. This is on top of huge spikes that have been happening for way too long, as we have slowly but surely walked away from the stuff that works and we replace it with the stuff that makes us feel better. And there are normal people just like you who are hurting each and every day. Here's someone who spoke to the Today Show this morning.
I don't know why they keep saying that families are not feeling the pinch. We're certainly feeling it. It's one of those situations where we've had to adjust our jobs, lifestyle, the whole works. The children are going without.
The kids are missing out a lot. They want to obviously go places, but because everything's increasing, and then at the same time the mortgage, the fuel rate went up as well. So you've got to cut back a lot, and it's definitely hard because half of my wage alone just goes on the mortgage.
And one of the reasons that we talk about cost of living so frequently on this program is because, firstly, number one issue people care about. But secondly, I want to hold hypocrites to account. Now, much of the media who wanted a change in the election and the Labor Party, who of course were the beneficiaries of all of that, well, they demanded cost of living, cost of living, cost of living, cost of living, and then they've delivered nothing. No real change. Very slight increase in the minimum wage, but everything else keeps going up, which means it's been eroded. So I get angry that nothing's happening about this, but apparently there's going to be some big and grand solution when it comes to power prices. But again, it's not actually going to do anything. Now, we're supposed to believe that there's going to be a magical arrangement that will cost $0 that will see the federal government cap the amount that will be charged on gas and see state governments on the amount of coal. But of course, the bit that is completely missing is the hundreds of billions of dollars worth of new technology that needs to be built in order to get us to the renewable future that makes us feel better. But of course, all of this comes at a cost, and I mean a serious cost. You see, whether the people like it or not, the reality is that there are tens of billions of dollars every year that are produced by royalties from things like coal and gas. Now, the reality is that the Queensland budget apparently is surging. Why? Because the coal price is going through the roof. You turn around and cap the coal price, you're going to cap the tax, which means these things keep going either deeper into debt or go nowhere near surplus. But because no one cares anymore, it's all about the vibe, you just reach for the credit card and do it again and again and again and again. So while simultaneously saying you want to save the planet for the next generation, you screw them with debt. And on top of all of this, just so the Prime Minister can say he's going to have a win, there'll be no major change when it comes to your power prices. But because the media doesn't care about cost of living, which has got demonstrably worse since this bloke became the Prime Minister, there's no pressure on him to fix it whatsoever. Because they're all living in the fantasy land of the government that they want, and finally a Prime Minister who calls them and says goodnight to them before they fall asleep, as opposed to the previous government that they didn't like, that they didn't want to vote for. Which means they played you for a sucker. They played you, the collective Australian people, for a sucker. They pretended that something was this very important, serious issue that they had a solution to, but they didn't have one. They had exactly the same policy that the Australian public rejected in 2019 when it came to renewable energy targets and the 43% when it came to emissions. But they just wrapped it up in $275 price decreases and hundreds of thousands of jobs that will fall from the sky, both of which won't happen. Yet they won't be criticised because the very media that would have torn the Liberal Party a new one for failing to deliver on the central policy of why they believe that they become the government shows exactly how there's two systems here. Now, it's easy for people to turn around and just say, well, it doesn't matter because the people are still with us. Look at where the polls are. But don't we actually care about people that are really screwed over by government decisions? The horrible and heartbreaking thing is that for many of the people who talk professionally about politics in this country, they don't care. It's all just a game. It's a game of access, so they can work their way to greater proximity to people in power. And then they're able to take care of each other and everyone moves along. They all end up earning enough money that it doesn't matter what happens to normal people. In the meantime, normal people are just something you point at on your way towards driving out of the city. But normal people are hurting, and normal people, it feels like, have no voice at the moment. No one putting genuine pressure for real action. But on top of all of this, guess what is happening right now? There is an obvious solution that helps us when it comes to reliable energy and a huge cut in emissions. You know, it's nuclear power. But because Albo's an old school sort of Peter Garrett lefty, no, we could never do this. But guess what's happening right now? Right now, the United States and the United Kingdom came out together in the past 24 hours and have said, according to the Prime Minister's office in the UK, that the UK and the US are announcing a new energy partnership. I read directly from that document. On civil nuclear, the partnership will promote nuclear energy as a safe and reliable part of the clean energy transition. This includes deepening global collaboration on nuclear fuels and advanced nuclear technologies. That's the President of the United States, the Prime Minister of the UK. Now let's play the Prime Minister of Australia, who is in deals with both of those countries when it comes to national defence, but when it comes to defence of a power grid, well, he's stuck in the 80s.
Nuclear energy, the most expensive new form of energy you could possibly imagine, one that's many years into the future.
Giggle, 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 because it makes us feel better. Seriously.